Hey everyone, and welcome back. I think we've all kind of wondered how the super rich manage their money, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, what are their secrets? Well, we're about to find out. We're diving deep into a podcast episode and an article both called How Rich People Hide Their Money and What You Can Learn,
Ooh, intriguing.
to say the least. And get this, we're traveling from the Cayman Islands all the way to Canada
Wow.
and even hitting the luxurious Dubai along the way.
Sounds like a trip.
Yeah, well, we're doing it all to uncover how some of these high-flying financial strategies might actually apply to you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, even if you're not exactly rolling in billions.
Right.
Okay, so let's jump right into it with something that, let's be honest, always sounds a bit shady.
Oh, here we go.
Offshore accounts.
Yeah.
Like, I'm picturing numbered Swiss bank accounts, secret agents, that whole Bond movie vibe. Is that even close to reality?
Well, the image isn't totally off base. Take the Cayman Islands, for example. They're famous for their strict privacy laws and the fact that they don't have direct taxes.
Really?
Yep. It's a real haven for people who want to keep their assets, well, hidden.
Interesting.
And it's completely legal, as long as you're playing by the rules in your home country and disclosing everything properly.
Okay, so let's say you're a Canadian and you're thinking of stashing some cash in the Caribbean. Can you just, fly under the radar?
Not exactly. Canada's got pretty strict disclosure rules with the CRA. If you're holding assets offshore, you've got to report them.
I see.
There can be some pretty hefty consequences if you try to hide stuff. Not worth the risk, really.
Makes sense.
But things get interesting when you look at Dubai. They do things a bit differently over there.
Oh, Dubai. And that's a place that knows a thing or two about luxury.
Right. They blend secrecy with this sort of regulatory leniency. It's a big draw for investors from countries with stricter financial oversight.
I can see why.
No personal income tax and a strong emphasis on financial privacy. It's a magnet for wealthy expats and locals alike.
So basically it's a mixed bag with these offshore accounts, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Some places are more transparent than others.
Makes you wonder. Okay, so what about those mysterious shell companies? The article calls them empty corporations. But how can a company exist without actually, doing anything?
Well, think of a shell company, like a holding company for your assets. Kind of like a container. You could have real estate, investments, even artwork, all under the umbrella of this company.
So your name isn't directly attached.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shielded from public records.
Huh. Clever. But wouldn't that make it harder to manage everything?
Not necessarily. You still control the assets. The shell company just holds them.
I see.
It's a popular tactic in the U.S., especially in states like Delaware and Nevada. They have these business-friendly laws that allow for anonymous ownership.
Really? So what about Canada? Do we have something similar?
We sure do. In Canada, we've got numbered companies. They offer a similar level of privacy, especially for things like holding real estate or investments.
Interesting.
And there can be tax advantages too, like if you retain profits within these corporations.
Okay, you're starting to see how all these pieces fit together. Offshore accounts, shell companies, it's all about layers, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that brings us to trusts and foundations.
Ah, yes, the dynasty aspect.
Right. These are often used to manage wealth across generations.
Building a legacy?
Exactly. The podcast actually mentions the Walton family, the Walmart heirs.
Oh, wow, yeah.
They used trusts to pass on their fortune.
That's some serious long-term planning.
For sure. And in the U.S., these dynasty trusts are super popular among the ultra-wealthy because they can avoid those hefty estate taxes generation after generation.
But trusts aren't just for the super rich, are they?
Not at all. Here in Canada, discretionary family trusts are quite common.
Oh, okay.
They're a way to legally minimize taxes by splitting income among family members.
So everyone's in a lower tax bracket.
Exactly. It's a way to optimize your family's tax burden while protecting your assets.
And making sure everything's managed according to your wishes.
Exactly.
So whether you're a Walton or just trying to plan for your kid's future, trusts can be a powerful tool.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there's Dubai. They always have their own unique spin on things.
Oh, I bet. Tell me more.
They offer private foundations. They're similar to trusts, but a bit more adaptable when it comes to managing various assets.
Like what kind of assets?
Well, things like family businesses, real estate, investments.
Oh, wow.
And of course, you get that added layer of privacy that Dubai is known for.
So we've got minimizing taxes, protecting assets, passing on wealth. Trusts and foundations really do offer a whole range of options.
It's all about figuring out what you need and finding the right structure for your goals.
Makes sense. Okay, now this is where things get really interesting for me. Let's talk about art and luxury assets.
Ah, yes, this is where things get fun.
Now, how do paintings and fancy cars fit into wealth management? I'm completely lost here.
You'd be surprised. Art and luxury goods can be great investments. They can even be used to conceal wealth.
Seriously?
Yep. For example, in the U.S., wealthy individuals often invest in high-value art and store it in these things called free ports.
Free ports. What are those? Like some kind of art vault?
You got it. Picture a high-security warehouse in a tax-free zone.
Wow.
That's basically what a free port is. You could store valuable assets like art and gold there,
Right.
and they're untaxed until they're sold.
So you can defer taxes and potentially watch those assets grow in value over time.
Exactly.
That's like a luxury layaway plan for the ultra-rich.
Uh-huh. You could say that.
What about in Canada? Do we have anything like that?
Well, speaking of tax advantages, Canada's got its own unique approach. Art donations. Wealthy individuals often donate valuable artwork to galleries or museums and get big tax deductions in return.
Ah, I see.
It's a win-win, right? They reduce their tax burden and get social recognition for their philanthropy.
So it's not just about hiding money, it's about using it strategically.
Right. To reduce taxes, even boost your image.
Smart. And I bet Dubai has its own luxurious twist on this.
Oh, absolutely. Dubai's got this booming luxury real estate market.
Of course they do.
It's a big draw for wealthy individuals looking for discreet ways to park their money.
You mean like buying a penthouse under a company name?
Exactly. High-end properties can be both investments and a way to conceal wealth.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered offshore accounts, shell companies, trusts, art as an investment. It's a lot to take in.
It really is, and we're just scratching the surface here.
My mind is blown. But the key takeaway is that these strategies, when used legally, are all about being smart with your money and planning for the future, right?
Absolutely.
And speaking of the future, we can't forget about the hottest topic in finance right now, cryptocurrency.
Ah, yes. Crypto, the digital frontier of wealth management.
It's all over the news.
It's become a really popular tool for people looking for privacy and anonymity, although regulations are starting to catch up, especially in the U.S.
So are those days of using Bitcoin to buy pizza anonymously over?
Not entirely. Even with stricter regulations in the U.S., cryptocurrency can still be used to move large sums of money anonymously, particularly through these things called privacy coins.
Privacy coins.
Yeah, like Monero. Think of them as the digital equivalent of cash untraceable transactions.
Oh, wow. So even with all the scrutiny, there are still ways to fly under the radar in the crypto world.
Yep, and then you've got the whole issue of decentralization. It makes it tricky for governments to track and regulate crypto.
Right. So how do they make sure they're getting their fair share of taxes?
That's the challenge Canada is facing right now.
I bet.
Crypto's decentralized nature makes it super appealing for people who want financial privacy, but it also makes it difficult to track gains for tax purposes.
It's like a cat and mouse game, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And as always, Dubai seems to be embracing the change.
I figured as much.
They've really positioned themselves as a global crypto hub.
Makes sense.
They're attracting wealthy investors who use crypto for everything, from buying property to everyday expenses.
It's incredible how technology is reshaping the way we think about money and wealth.
It really is. We've gone from traditional havens like the Cayman Islands to the cutting-edge world of Dubai's crypto scene. It seems like the wealthy are always a step ahead.
It's true. But it's not about envying their strategies. It's about understanding them.
Absolutely.
And maybe even adapting some of these principles to our own financial journeys.
Exactly. Even if our bank accounts aren't quite as impressive.
Right. It's all about understanding the rules of the game and using them to your advantage.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I don't know about you, but my mind is officially blown. We've covered so much ground already.
I know, right? Offshore accounts, shell companies, trusts, art as an investment, even the wild world of crypto.
It feels like we've just scratched the surface.
We've only just begun. There's so much more to explore.
So much more to unpack. Join us for part 2, where we'll dig even deeper into these wealth management techniques and uncover how you can apply some of these principles to your own financial journey, no matter your income level.
Can't wait. Welcome back to our deep dive, into the fascinating world of wealth management.
Yeah, we're picking up right where we left off, exploring those intricate ways the wealthy safeguard and grow their assets.
Right. In the last part, we looked at a bunch of different strategies like offshore accounts, shell companies, trusts and foundations.
We even got into the world of art and luxury assets as investments. And of course, we couldn't forget about the rise of cryptocurrency. That's definitely changing the game.
Yeah, it's like each piece of this financial puzzle is carefully placed to create a really comprehensive wealth management strategy.
Right. It's all connected. But as we continue exploring, it's important to remember, that our goal isn't to encourage hiding money.
Right, exactly.
It's more about shedding light on these sophisticated methods, understanding the motivations behind them.
Absolutely. We're all about transparency and, responsible financial practices. One theme that keeps coming up, though, is diversification.
Diversification.
Yeah, it seems like the wealthy are always looking for ways to spread their assets, different locations, different asset classes.
It makes sense. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
If one investment takes a hit, others can help cushion the blow.
Sort of like a financial safety net?
Exactly, a global safety net. And for the wealthy, diversification often extends beyond their home country.
Right. We saw how they use those offshore accounts.
Right, and invest in foreign markets.
Tapping into those global opportunities.
And potentially reducing their tax burden.
Right. But it's not just geography, is it? They're also diversifying the types of assets they hold.
You got it. Stocks, bonds, real estate, precious metals.
The whole shebang.
Even alternative investments like private equity, hedge funds.
Oh, wow. So it's all about a strategic approach to wealth preservation and growth, riding out those economic storms, and ensuring long-term stability.
That's the idea. Now, let's talk tax optimization.
Ooh, tax optimization. That's a controversial one.
It can be. It's
Yeah.
important to be clear about the difference between legal tax minimization strategies and illegal tax evasion. There's a big difference.
A fine line sometimes.
Right, and the wealthy often get accused of crossing that line.
Yeah, you hear about that a lot.
But legal tax optimization is all about taking advantage of tax laws and regulations to reduce what you owe. It's things like claiming deductions, using tax-advantaged accounts, and structuring your investments in a smart way.
So working within the system,
Yeah.
not trying to cheat it.
Right. And while some people argue that the wealthy have an unfair advantage when it comes to tax optimization, the reality is that those tax laws are available to everyone.
That's a good point.
It's about being informed,
In your research.
being proactive with your finances.
And maybe even seeking advice from, like, a financial advisor or a tax specialist.
Absolutely. They can help you navigate all the complexities and develop strategies that align with your goals.
Right, because it can get pretty complicated. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. What about philanthropy? A lot of wealthy individuals are big donors to charitable causes.
Philanthropy is definitely a big part of the lives of a lot of high net worth individuals. It's not just about giving back, it's about leaving a legacy.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's really inspiring to see the impact they can have.
It really is. So how do they go about it?
Well, some set up private foundations to support causes they care about. Others make direct donations to charities, or they get involved in impact investing.
Impact investing, what's that?
So it's this trend where investors are trying to generate both financial returns and a positive impact,
Oh, I saw.
like social or environmental impact,
Yeah.
aligning your investments with your values.
Interesting.
It's a way for wealthy individuals to use their resources to tackle some of the world's biggest challenges.
So it's not just about personal gain, it's about a broader societal perspective.
Exactly. Wealth can be a powerful tool for positive change. We've covered a lot today.
We have offshore accounts, shell companies, trusts, foundations, diversification, tax optimization, philanthropy.
And don't forget the surprising role of art and luxury assets, plus the rise of cryptocurrency and its impact on all of this.
Right. It's like we've gotten this behind-the-scenes look into the world of high finance.
We've pulled back the curtain.
Yeah.
And while these strategies may seem really complex, the underlying principles are often rooted in, just sound financial management.
Right, the kind of stuff anyone can apply to their own financial journey.
Absolutely. Regardless of how much money you have.
Whether you're saving for retirement, investing, or just trying to be smarter with your money.
It's all about being informed, making strategic choices, and seeking guidance when you need it.
And never stop learning. Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. The more you know about the world of finance, the better decisions you can make for yourself.
And with that, we'll conclude part 2 of our deep dive into the fascinating world of wealth management. Welcome back to the deep dive. It's been quite the journey exploring the world of high finance, wouldn't you say?
It really has.
Yeah.
We've uncovered some really interesting strategies, the ways the wealthy manage and protect their assets, offshore accounts, shell companies, trusts, even art as an investment. And of course, we couldn't leave out the whole cryptocurrency phenomenon.
It's been fascinating, right? Getting this peek behind the curtain and seeing how these strategies play out around the globe. But something's been on my mind throughout this whole deep dive.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we've talked a lot about, optimizing finances and maximizing returns. But what about the ethics of all this?
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
It seems like there's a fine line between smart financial planning and, well, maybe pushing the boundaries of what's, morally acceptable.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
You're right. Wealth management operates within, it's a complex web of ethical considerations.
Right.
And while we focused on the legal aspects of these strategies, we can't ignore the potential societal impact.
Exactly. Like, we talked about how the wealthy use offshore accounts to possibly lower their tax burden. But doesn't that raise questions about fairness? Like, is everyone contributing their fair share to society?
It's a question that's been debated for years. Some argue that offshore accounts actually promote economic growth and investment,
I can see that.
while others say they contribute to wealth inequality and, deprive governments of needed revenue.
It's a tough one. No easy answers. And it's not just offshore accounts. We talked about shell companies, too, and how they can be used to, well, hide who really owns the assets.
Right, that lack of transparency can definitely create opportunities for unethical behavior, no question.
Like money laundering or tax evasion.
Exactly, which is why there's this growing push for more transparency in the financial system. Things like beneficial ownership registries.
So we can actually see who's behind these corporate structures.
Exactly.
So it's this constant tension, isn't it? The desire for financial privacy versus the need for accountability.
Absolutely. Finding that balance is key to a healthy and ethical financial system.
It really makes you think. I mean, we've been looking at how these strategies benefit individuals, but we can't forget about the bigger picture.
The impact on society as a whole.
Exactly. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of wealth management, what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think the biggest one is that these strategies are complex. You need specialized knowledge, so it's crucial to get advice from qualified professionals before making any big decisions.
Right. Don't just try this at home, folks.
Haha, exactly. And it's not just about the technical stuff either. We've talked about the ethical side of things too. So, whether it's minimizing your taxes or using offshore accounts, it's important to weigh the benefits against the potential impact on society.
I think that's a great point. And while we've been focused on how the wealthy manage their money, a lot of these principles apply to everyone, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No matter your income level.
It's about being informed, making strategic choices, and really taking charge of your finances.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, a lot to digest. But before we go, I'd like to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Go for it.
Of all the strategies we've talked about, which one really stuck with you? And how can you apply some of these principles to your own life in a way that aligns with your values and goals?
That's a great question. It's definitely worth thinking about. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about finance, the better decisions you can make for yourself and for the world around you.
So true. Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those questions coming.